Is there trouble over at Marvel Studios? Well, we're hearing some reports that are pretty interesting surrounding Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, and the level of involvement of Kevin Feige himself. Is this because of Electric State? Does he not trust the Russos anymore? So let's take a couple minutes to talk about what's going on with this report, what I really think is happening, and why I think people are making a little too much out of it. Well, we've been following this story for a couple of days, and it's one that won't go away. Now, a few days ago, we started hearing reports from multiple Hollywood insiders that kind of suggested there were some worries at Marvel Studios. Many people, like myself, were absolutely celebrating when the Russo brothers decided to come back to direct the next two Avengers films. Honestly, some top-tier Marvel Studios projects started with Winter Soldier, carried over into Civil War, and then through Infinity War and Endgame, all of which were Russo projects. So them returning to direct the next two films has always made a lot of sense to me. Now, in case you didn't know, the Russos have gone on to work on other stuff. They have their own production studio and they've done multiple films. And quite honestly, they've never achieved the same level of success and fan satisfaction that they did at Marvel Studios. Now, their most recent project, The Electric State, was absolutely crushed by critics and got 15% on Rotten Tomatoes and some pretty low viewership numbers over on Netflix. And that's kind of where this rumor kicks off. Now, within this rumor report, what we're hearing is that because of the reception of The Electric State, some of Marvel's higher-ups, specifically Kevin Feige, are starting to think about their decision to bring the Russo brothers back to direct Doomsday and Secret Wars. Now, this report has been dismissed by some, but absolutely embraced by others. So I think at this point, it's really hard to tell what's true. Now, one of our favorite scoopers, Daniel Rickman, actually said, and I quote, "Kevin Feige has concerns about the Russos directing the next two Avengers films. However, at this stage, replacing them is not an option, so he plans to closely oversee the project, ensuring the script is just right and everything is on track. He's going to be more hands-on than ever with them." Now, on its surface, I think people are making too much of a big deal out of this and really shouldn't get overly concerned. First and foremost, yeah, the Russo brothers have struggled a little bit on their own, but their work at Marvel has been more than solid, creating some of the biggest films Hollywood has ever seen. I absolutely believe there is a ton of goodwill for the brothers at Marvel Studios, and Kevin Feige's involvement, whether it's greater or less, really has nothing to do with the Russo brothers' faith in their project or their ability to deliver a film. Now, I do believe, though, Kevin Feige is, well, more involved with this project than ever before. But that has nothing to do with the Russos and more to do with the recent track record of Marvel Studios. You know, during phases 1 through 3, and particularly as we got into phase 3, well, everything Marvel threw out there was a pretty big hit. A movie that didn't do as well as the rest was something that crossed $700 million. I mean, Marvel was making billion-dollar films one after another. But in recent years, they have really struggled to reach those benchmarks. This year's Captain America Brave New World didn't do so great. We had the Marvels last year, and even though they still had some big films like Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Deadpool and Wolverine, the absolute assured success of Marvel Studios, well, that's something that no longer exists. And should these next two Avengers films fail, well, they might cross the point of no return where fans will never come back. Now, I think he brought the Russo brothers back to recapture some of the magic that was part of the Infinity Saga, and that's exactly what the Russo brothers are going to do. But I do think Kevin Feige has a huge interest in this because the future of Marvel Studios is dependent on it, and we've heard from multiple reports that this could be Feige's swan song. He may move up in the organization at Disney. Wouldn't be surprised if he's head of Marvel Studios and Star Wars when the smoke clears. But I think he personally has a huge vested interest in closing this era out with a bang. And with all the struggles of Phase 4 and 5, they're going out of their way to make Phase 6 strong. And I think Feige's stake in that is so high, he's definitely going to be neck deep. Now, cameras are set to start rolling on Doomsday next month over in the UK. We're starting to hear about some people actually arrive over there. We're going to do some other reports about that. But at this point, it is absolutely too late to re-gear with new directors. And I have full faith in the Russo brothers. So although I think the report might actually be true, it's being overblown, and people are worrying about it in a way that probably casts the light on the wrong people. We're going to watch this one pretty closely. I can't wait to see what the Russo brothers bring to life in the next two films. They make great movies, and I'm sure they're going to bring the magic back to Marvel Studios. But until we know more, we're going to have to wait and see. Now before you take off though, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and ring the bell for all the updates. We do daily videos and we want to be your place for all the Marvel and DC news, but we're going to bring it to you truthfully and transparently so you're really in the know.